and still the undisputed super-middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Hey Ringsiders, what is going on? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, and welcome back to Ringside Stories. Or if you're new, we make content regarding boxing through mini documentaries, backstories, post-fight reviews, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support in advance, and welcome to the channel. Saul Canelo Alvarez remains the undisputed world champion in the 168-pound division, dropping a unanimous decision win over former 154-pound undisputed world champion Jermell Charlo. And today we're going to be talking about 5 takeaways from Canelo versus Charlo. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, LiveGood. LiveGood is a company which promotes 100% organic supplements. These have great benefits for better stamina and great health overall. Not only that, they are promoted at an extremely affordable price. Now, I personally love these supplements because of the fact that LiveGood allows you to make money at the comforts of your own home. Click the link in the description box below and take the free tour for more information. Number 1. One-sided. Coming in, the question was how much Saul Canelo Alvarez had declined after suffering his second professional loss at the hands of Dimitri Bivol for the WBA light heavyweight World Championship during Cinco de Mayo weekend 2022. Canelo bounced back with 2 wins, yet looking a bit flat compared to performances in recent memory, such as his historical run in the super middleweight division where Canelo dominated 3 undefeated reigning world champions, 2 by stoppage. Against Jermell Charlo, the undisputed 168 king, Canelo proved criticasters wrong. He was sharp, showed great endurance, was fast, even faster than Jermell Charlo. On the flip side, Iron Man didn't do much other than survive, throwing the occasional combination. And so considering this was the first fight for Jermell Charlo in the 168-pound division, this was a low-risk, high-reward situation for Iron Man, certainly financially, although taking his second professional loss, looking at his performance, Charlo looked like a fish out of water. And so Jermell Charlo, who was advertised as an undisputed world champion going into the Canelo fight as the fighter with the longer reach and with a height advantage, the physical dimensions didn't make up for the lack of experience, exposing the quote-unquote smaller Charlo. And so if Mel will pursue his boxing career north from his natural weight class at 154, chances are he will do that gradually, maybe even stopping by at 160 pounds. As for Saul Canelo Alvarez, certainly his fans, but also his criticasters might be convinced that Saul Canelo Alvarez has much more to give the sport of boxing than prior to Canelo versus Charlo.
You know, Canelo's a beast, you know what I'm saying? He's an ox. You know, maybe I felt that more because of the fact that, you know, this is my first time at that weight division. I wish I could have gained a little bit more weight in between, you know, from the weigh-in to that time, but I can't control my body.
Number 2, weight classes. Props for Jermell Charlo, daring to be great. At the same time, we have to conclude once again that weight classes are in the sport of boxing for a reason. Just because Jermell Charlo is taller with a longer reach doesn't mean he would be able to utilize and guarantee his success by the seeming physical advantages he had over the Mexican superstar. And certainly at the elite level, it is about minor yet fundamental details, timing, range, as well as the actual opposition. Jermell Charlo is not the most active fighter in boxing, certainly not recently coming off a 60-month layoff, all the whilst moving up 2 weight divisions in the process, facing one of the best pound-for-pound elites in Saul Canelo Alvarez. He went 12 rounds, even though Canelo hit Charlo with a peach of a right hand in round 7, to which Charlo was smart to take a knee and continued to stay away for most part, not willing to engage with the 168-pound undisputed world champion.
I watched boxing and been a part of it so long. If I would have just jumped out there, I would have kind of embarrassed myself. So I was smart enough to regroup, recover, and I recovered really fast.
And although from a marketing point of view, this was a great sell, 2 undisputed world champions, the first in the 4-belt era, the difference in class showed and proves once again that just because somebody walks around taller or bigger than the opponent, if he is not accustomed to the weight, that will show on fight night, certainly at the elite level. Number 3, Terence Crawford.
Man, Charlo gave him too much respect, man. Too much. He didn't fight his fight.
You feel like he was already scared going into the fight, like he was already
I don't
defeated?
know if he was scared or not, but, Canelo did a tremendous job in there. He did what he had to do.
After Canelo versus Charlo, Terence Bud Crawford was quick to fire shots at the now former undisputed 154-pound world champion. The 2-time undisputed world champion said, quote, "You went out sad, didn't even try to win. All you did was try to survive. You should be ashamed of yourself," end quote. Well, after his second professional defeat, in the immediate interview, Jermell Charlo responded.
Yeah, Terence Crawford could be on the radar. I think he already probably been on Twitter, like lip wrestling with the internet, just to get some clout, some fans, and it's fine. He's a champion. He's great at what he do. So in due time, you guys will be completely entertained, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more shit.
If Iron Man would drop back down 2 weight divisions, he will once again have to readjust, even though that is his natural weight division, but specifically his body has to readjust. And if he would fight Terence Crawford right away, we're talking about a generational talent, not any ordinary fighter moving up from welterweight to super welterweight. Even though Terence Crawford would be moving up to 154, which would be an anomaly, but wouldn't be making much of an adjustment, not as much as Jermell Charlo. And on top of the physical aspect that Jermell Charlo has to deal with should he drop back to 154 in his next fight, Terence Crawford's versatile skill set would pose interesting problems to Jermell Charlo. Charlo is more of a sniper fighter or an ambush fighter, staying on the outside, jumping in with quick combinations, whereas Terence Crawford can move around the ring, can counterpunch, is ambidextrous, and has power in both hands. On top of that, Terence Crawford has sublime ring IQ, is a master of adjustments in fight, and has that undefeated record on top of the momentum, having beat one of Charlo's stablemates, that being Errol Spence Jr. Now obviously, Terence Crawford has also been linked to Saul Canelo Alvarez for a fight himself at 168, and that would be interesting stylistically, even though the physical difference between Terence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez is something that we should seriously take into consideration. Number 4. What is next for Jermell Charlo? Jermell Charlo just relinquished his WBO world title at 154 and could face undefeated Tim Tszyu, who was the interim titleist and just has been elevated to full champion status. Stylistically, Jermell Charlo versus Tim Tszyu would be interesting and intriguing, as Tszyu has progressed strongly in recent years, and given his hunger and his fighting style, that of a pressure fighter, could give Jermell Charlo some issues, similar to the first Brian Castano fight, in which Jermell was unable to make the necessary adjustments in fight. Jermell Charlo versus Tim Tszyu would be then for all of the marbles at 154, and that would be a marketable fight, as the Soul Taker has garnered some attention in his native of Australia, where the now former undisputed world champion is a bit ambiguous whether he fancies a fight with Tim Tszyu. The unbeaten Aussie is clear in his statement.
Anyone can get it. I'm the man now at 154. Charlo's going up, so hopefully the belts get vacated and we get to fight for the belts and show who the true boogeyman of the division really is.
Number 5. Next for Canelo. When talking about the next fight for Saul Canelo Alvarez, David Benavidez is a name that pops up almost right off. The quote-unquote Mexican monster is set to fight Demetrius Andrade later in 2023. The current WBC interim title holder, who earlier in 2023 bested former IBF world champion Caleb Plant, is undefeated and a former 2-time WBC world title holder. The talk of a Canelo versus Benavidez fight seems the most intriguing at 168, especially if that fight would take place on Cinco de Mayo weekend in 2024. And all of this is contingent should David Benavidez come through the Demetrius Andrade fight. The Bivol rematch seems unlikely right now since Canelo is on the PBC side of things and because of the ongoing political issues which truly have nothing to do with Dmitry Bivol. Also, a fight with current unified world champion at light heavyweight Artur Beterbiev seems far-fetched at the moment, and so the pool of available talent in and around 168 and 175 pounds is starting to dwindle for Canelo. Sure, a fight with the aforementioned Terence Crawford is interesting, another battle between two undisputed world champions, and stylistically I think Crawford can trouble Canelo and make it a more technical and difficult night for the Mexican superstar. However, Crawford, who at least at the making of this recording hasn't fought, much less established himself at 154, would then effectively move up 3 weight classes should Canelo versus Crawford be anytime soon. Promotion politics aside, a matchup against current WBC cruiserweight world champion Badou Jack would still be interesting in my personal opinion. Just the idea of being world champion in 5 different weight classes is some sort of an anomaly, which would solidify Canelo's status of all-time great even more. So Canelo Alvarez has more than a good chance to beat Badou Jack, but this is boxing and things have to make business sense. Badou Jack has held titles in 3 weight divisions, but since Jack's title at light heavyweight was the WBA regular title, we'll consider Badou Jack's WBC world title at super middleweight and his recent conquest of that same WBC strap at cruiserweight when he came off a spectacular knockout win over Ilunga Makabu in early 2023. Badou Jack has fought at super middleweight before in the pre-168-pound Canelo era, celebrated wins over the likes of 2-time WBC champ Anthony Durrell, former champs George Groves and Lucien Bute, and a tough fight with then IBF super middleweight world champion James DeGale. With all the battles Jack has fought nearing the age of 40, Saul Canelo Alvarez could consider a shot at the cruiserweight world title with a great chance to not only beating but also stopping Badou Jack. Jack is on a 6-fight win streak with 4 of his last fights being in the Middle East, and with recent big events in Saudi Arabia, the likes of Anthony Joshua facing Alexander Usyk for his rematch, Tyson Fury facing Francis Ngannou in a money grab, and talks of bringing other top heavyweights next to Tyson Fury, that being Deontay Wilder, out to the Desert Kingdom, why wouldn't the man who's considered the face of boxing currently follow suit and roll the dice in the Middle East? These are just my observations. What are yours? What did you make of Saul Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo, and who should both Mel and Canelo fight next? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to this channel and you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support in advance and welcome to the channel. Now, if you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that you are the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, this is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.